There's actually a bunch of 702 devices. This is the most powerful one because it's got an 8-core CPU. So if you don't know that much about CPU cores, the average Ultrabook has 2 cores. The average gaming laptop has a 4-core CPU. This thing is rocking a new 8-core CPU from AMD called the Ryzen 7 1700. It's actually a desktop class CPU. It's super powerful, and they were able to stick it into a laptop that's not like super thick or super large. It's still a little bit bigger. It's not like the thinnest laptop out there, but it's a very portable device for an 8-core with a bit of red. The port selection is pretty standard for a 17-inch laptop. There is a USB-C port, but there's no Thunderbolt 3 support. The build quality is not bad. It feels up out there, but it's a very portable device for an 8-core Windows PC. Now, the design isn't my favorite. It's not the color or anything. I mean, there are some red accents, but it's more just the actual aesthetic. It's more of a dated ASUS look. The current ASUS laptops, like the ones at the end of 2017, look pretty clean. They're more like brushed metal with silver and gray accents. This is more, but once you're inside, the RAM and the drives are user replaceable. Interestingly, the CPU looks to be replaceable as well. I think I see a little bit of a socket on the motherboard. It's not just soldered right on. The battery down here is 76 watt hours, and battery life is not great. We're looking at an hour and a half, like 90 minutes of battery life with the screen at 250 nits with everything at just like normal settings. It's actually one of the lowest battery life seen on a laptop, and the AC adapter is also pretty large. It's a 350 watt brick, but keep in mind that this is a desktop class CPU. It literally is something that they pull from desktops and they stuck it in here, and it's an AMD GPU, so you're missing things like NVIDIA Optimus, so battery consumption is going to be high. But the other thing is, AMD could technically improve on this stuff. The keyboard and trackpad feel pretty similar to ASUS laptops. I mean, it's a very standard looking ASUS keyboard, comfortable to type on, slightly mushier keys than I'd like, but it's good otherwise. Trackpad, Windows Precision drivers, plastic surface. It's a good trackpad. I think most people will like it. The speakers are actually way better than I thought they'd be. These are actually one of the best, possibly the best ASUS speakers I've seen on a laptop. I guess it's because it's a bigger chassis, there's like more room for stuff in there, but they sound good. Not super loud or anything, but the clarity is there and the bass is more pronounced than you'd expect. Alright, performance in this machine can be very impressive. Single core stuff is kind of run of the mill, nothing super special, but the multi-core stuff is crazy good. This laptop flexes so hard on basically every single other laptop that I've tested before. In the Cinebench CPU test, this thing scores over 1400 points. That's like 40% better than even desktop class CPUs like the 7700K. The thermals on this thing are actually not bad as well. Temperatures are good. Cooling 8 active CPU cores at once is obviously not easy, but they're able to do it. But fan noise, the gaming performance gives me mixed opinions. It's not bad per se. It's running at RX 580, the mobile version, and that's similar to like a laptop GTX 1060, so very respectable. On the 1080p screen, I'm still getting very good frame rates, even on maxed out graphics, but this is the kind of performance that you would expect for like $1,100 or maybe $1,200. GTX 1060 laptops aren't super expensive. This thing starts at $1,500, and where this thing shines, and quite frankly, this is what people should be buying this laptop for, is video editing. This thing crushes so hard in Adobe Premiere. So Premiere has always been a relatively weak performer on laptops. It's a very CPU hungry application, and even high-end gaming laptops with 4-core CPUs don't do nearly as well as desktops that have like 8 or 10-core CPUs. This thing keeps up. This thing's actually faster than a lot of the systems that I've used in the past year. It's actually faster than like the $10,000 Mac Pro in Adobe Premiere, which is crazy. It's a $1,500 system. The screen is okay, it's good for gaming, it's a 1080p panel, it's bright, but I wish it was higher res because that's what I would use this computer for. I wish it had like a 4K panel with really good color accuracy and stuff, but that's just not the case. So again, I feel like ASUS made something that's a little bit niche, but this time I feel like it's a little bit confusing because they have components in here that are very gamer oriented. So I mean, it's the ROG brand, it's got some red accents, it's got a 1080p screen, and I think they're actually making a 1080p 120Hz screen option. But at the same time, the strength of this device is seriously in multi-core stuff, which most games in 2017 or even like early 2018 won't be able to take that much advantage of. This thing really shines in video editing, but you're stuck with a non-4K panel and not a super color accurate panel either. So if you look at the price of this thing, it's actually a pretty good value for people that are editing videos. To be able to get this kind of performance in this kind of portable form factor for $1,500, like a year ago, this would have been impossible. But right now, if you're trying to pick up this thing for games, I wouldn't recommend it. It's not a bad machine for it, but for $1,500 you can get devices that, even ones made by ASUS, that are just more suited for gamers. Okay,